Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today we're going to be doing an entire event review of Block Wars 16. This was a great event, and without getting into spoilers just yet, I'm very happy with how it ended up going. So now to actually address it, spoiler warning in case you haven't watched Block Wars 16, this video will go over the performances, the winners, etc. It'll literally talk about everything that happened, so if you haven't watched it and you don't want to get spoiled, just make sure to not watch this video just yet. Watch a VOD and then come back. Anyways, here we go. So, to get into the actual winners of the event, here it comes. 3, 2, 1, boom. It was actually the green team that ended up winning, which I'm very gladly surprised with. Very excited about, because this, if you watched my explaining the balancing for Block Wars 16 video, was the team that had the lowest average team placement when going into this event, and also was a team that I said I would like to see do well because they deserve to do well. And they did fantastic, so I'm really happy with this result. Of course, for those of you who've watched the event, you'll know that they ended up going up against Pink, which a lot of people made seem like I'd be terrified watching this and having my fingers crossed to see Pink lose. During my watch party, I was just like, look, if they win, I don't really, I don't have a problem with Pink winning. Pink winning would be cool. They deserve it. I've said this throughout the team announcements, and then throughout the time from team announcements till now, that if Pink manages to get to the finale and win, they very much deserve it, because that's still a really impressive showing, which is proven by when you look at the individual placements in the board that Ruse got 22nd. You wouldn't have been able to convince me that that was going to happen. But Ruse absolutely locked in and popped off. I'm super happy to see we have another higher comp VTuber in the roster. Many more placements are to be talked about during this event. But first, well, actually, not first. Let's just go in order. This event seemed for a little bit to actually start somewhat on time. And then it didn't. But we almost started like only 10 minutes late instead of 20. But hey, at least we got closer this time around, guys. Surely the players will remember that they're playing in an event every single time and not sleep through or whatever else. Please. That'd be quite nice. Anyways, now we get into the actual juice and potatoes of this event, where I think we're just going to go through every single game and kind of review it bit by bit. I think if we just go through like this, yeah, so the first game was Tomb Titans. The updates for Tomb Titans this time around was a slight increase in the amount of puzzles that would show up, and there were some new chunks. Generally, I think people did appreciate the new updates, but I don't think the overall reception of Tomb was much better or any worse, really, than it was before. I think a lot of people have kind of gotten used to what the game currently is like, and in the instance that they are not really the biggest fan, they've just kind of accepted, like, hey, this is kind of what the game is for now. And in the case that they are a fan, they probably appreciate that there's, you know, some extra content coming in for the time being. And yeah, the increased amount of puzzles was pretty nice. I know Feinberg ended up finding a puzzle that unfortunately broke. That is my fault. But it didn't end up mattering too much, because I think Pink ended up doing okay in the game, because Shane ended up dying at the end, and I don't know if all of the 3 Holostar guys made it through, but I think at least 2 of them did. So yeah, Pink had a bit of a rough experience there, somewhat in Tomb. They were not the only ones. I think Red Team also ended up being a bit unfortunate during this game. I don't actually remember who won, so I guess that's where we have the website, right? I get to check who ended up winning the game. Turns out it was Orange, clearly. Ended up taking first there, which I will actually say I was not expecting. I mean, Orange is definitely a team that I, in retrospect, could see being pretty solid at this game. I think, generally speaking, this team was kind of just a gamer team, not necessarily just a Minecraft gamer team, but like they play video games pretty often, and this is kind of more of a universal gamer type of game, where if you just do all right as a full team, or sorry, if you are all right at video games, you'll do all right at this game. Yeah, here's the actual results from the team standpoint. Tomb also doesn't have like crazy gaps. This is like all right, I think, generally speaking. It's had pretty crazy gaps before. Of course, the gap between 1st and 8th is big, but when you look at 1st to 7th, it's not that big of a deal. So it was a pretty solid opener. Yeah, Tomb being in the first slot of the votes was a little repetitive, but I understand why, because Pink Team exists, and, you know, it makes sense to want to vote for the team games early, especially with that team being around. Next up, though, I don't think there was much else for Tomb. There was the Feinberg clip of him not being able to PvP, or not being able to kill JoJo in PvP. Yeah, of course, that'll be looked into. Next up, though, was Race. New race map, and it was fantastic. Actually, really interesting top 3 for this one, because there was a lot of movement going around in terms of Fine, Shane, and Purpled competing for that number 1 slot. I saw some people argue that the race points are stupid, and that the actual final results were not fair or not justified. But I also think that in the instance that the scoring was, just to mention as an example, like MCC, where you don't get points for your laps but only for your final placement, people would have argued that that's also kind of lame. So I don't think there is an actual best solution for race scoring or racing game scoring. I think one event could do one thing and the other could do a different thing, and it'd be fine. It doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, this map was really good. Shout out to Obi for absolutely locking in, for making this map over the past month or 2. I think 2 to 3 months. That's, I think, how long this roughly took. And it shows, and it's definitely worth. It's paying off. I mean, this is a very good, very good map. So yeah, you just saw the float pad take into action. Then you have the elytra boosts, which you see here as well. And there was also water boosts. I'm just gonna hold it on the screen because you'll probably see it pop up in a bit. Assuming Shane goes through one of them. I don't think he's going through them. Here you go. Bing, there you go. So that's the new features, or those are the new features that were added to race. Was the elytra and the float pads, the elytra boost, and the water boost, all making their way in, which was very fun. It adds a little bit more diversity to the movement that you can add in for race, which is always good. I think I really appreciate how MCC did it with Ace Race, and now we get to explore a little bit as well, which is very fun. Regardless, the result here ended up being as follows. The teams ended up being, of course, relatively close. Race is also a game that doesn't really have much team differential, because you can't really add much team differential without giving unfair scoring. From an individual standpoint, Shane ended up taking first. This was kind of, silly, because Shane got first in lap 1, but then got third, I think, in lap 2. There was only two laps total, and it was argued that, like, Purple should have gotten first or whatever, because I think Purple ended up getting, 4th in lap 1 and then first in lap 2. But I would argue that, that's still Shane should get rewarded for doing well in lap 1. Just because he made a mistake at some point in the second lap doesn't mean that he shouldn't get rewarded for how well he did in lap 1. That's just my take, though. Obviously, I will probably be biased. That's race, though. Next up was, I don't actually remember, I think it was Order Up. Let's see. Order Up is right here. Yeah, there we go. Order Up being finally given a multiplier for the first time in however long. I don't actually know. Has Order Up ever been played late in a regular event, not Origins? I don't think so, but regardless, Order Up third meant that yes, it did have a 25% multiplier for the first time in however long, and it didn't really affect too much. I mean, the results, I think, went about as expected. Of course, the Feinberg team popped off because it's Feinberg. And then, let me see for the rest here. I guess I can just literally look right here. If we go to Order Up and we go to Team Leaderboard, Feinberg team gets first. Shocker. Green team actually followed up pretty closely in second, which shouldn't really be surprising. Having Purpled and Rattles as kind of a dynamic crafting duo is pretty good. Generally, speedrunners are pretty good at crafting, and Rattles obviously is a speedrunner. I think Green team ended up doing a strat where May took a second elytra and Rattles didn't have a second one, so May was delivering while Rattles was crafting, which kind of made them a little bit more efficient. Pink team ended up having, I think, Shane and Fine with elytras, where they did the crafting and delivering on and off. But I think with Feinberg just being a little bit quicker at making the crafts, and then Shane probably being a slightly more efficient Elytra user, that probably was why they took the edge over green. For the rest of the teams, we're relatively close. Again, with a stay out from red falling behind a little bit, but that happens. It is what it is. For the rest, yeah, nothing too major. It seems like everyone actually held up decently well this time around, which is very good. Next game, though, was, I think, Lunge. Yes. So Lunge came back for its second appearance in the main event, and I feel like this was a game a lot of people had their eyes on, because the first Lunge from Blockwars 15 was definitely not well received, right? So we don't need to beat around the bush. Yes, everybody is aware. People didn't really like it, and there were a lot of changes that were made. A whole new map, some major features were removed and updated and changed and reworked, etc. The points are literally, like Feinberg talks about it here, the points are literally displayed now, so the points are a bit more clear as well, showing kind of what you have to do this time around. And instead of thinking, you gotta look, which is pretty funny. And it worked out great. I mean, a lot of people have shared this opinion already. Lunge went from like a meh game to like pretty good. It's definitely a game that I think has a proper lifespan ahead of itself in Blockwars, and I think as a new PvP game definitely serves a role that I think is very much needed, because battle admittedly will probably phase out a little bit for specifically the main event, because it just doesn't really fit the roster much, and as much as we've tried to fix it and adjust it for fitting the roster a little bit better, it's just still not going to be, it's just still consistently not been one of the more popular games. However, Lunge is a melee oriented game where it seems to be a lot more accessible for a lot of people. The strategy is different. It's not just, hey, PvP and you win. You actually have a different thing you can do as well, which is scoring, etc. Everyone can play different roles. I think it's worked out really well. There's definitely still stuff that can be updated and changed and fixed about Lunge, but I just think generally being appreciative of the updates it has received is good. Shout out to Brandon for coming in clutch and trying to fix stuff. Also Jordan, of course, and Obi as well for the decoration, and I guess me for the level design, which is whatever, right? Anyways, that was the first half of the event. A very strong opener. Nothing really happened that made people meh about the event. I think everything ended up going pretty well, especially like mentioned, race having a map that was really good. Lunge having an improvement that was significant, I think helped a lot with people's perception of how the event ended up going. And yeah, this is just a really strong showing thus far. If we look at Lunge, you'll see that the scores are relatively close again. Definitely a bit on the higher end, but also if you were to lower the points in Lunge, you might not even have a 500 point gap. This is a good thing, I think, for the most part, because with PvP games, typically they end up being the deciding factor for which teams end up making the finals. The teams that end up doing the best in PvP most commonly end up being the ones that end up at the top. We've seen this with Battle, we've seen this with other events as well, and Blockwars now has a game where PvP can be in rotation, just be kind of silly and a little bit of fun, and not really have that crazy of a gap where it's just going to ruin your perspective or whatever, right, if you're doing bad at it, which is usually the problem with PvP, or hand you a free finale spot if you end up clutching up in it, right? So, very good. I liked it. I was a fan for sure of Lunge this time around. Excited to play it in a future event. Next up, though, after Lunge was, let's see, it was Trailblazers, which I think received maybe a few new levels. I think it probably did. Trailblazers this time around also got some point changes, which mostly affected which completions were worth a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I think overall it was a slight improvement over the previous rendition of the points in Trailblazers, though I do understand that some people still have a bit of trouble fully understanding how the points work, because it is unfortunately a little bit complex because of how diverse of a game it is. You can't just give flat points for everything, because that doesn't really make it balanced, because some types of movements take a bit longer than some others, and making them all the same length would make some of the movement types not feel as cohesive compared to some of the other ones. So that'll probably be looked into going forward. I think. Probably. I don't know. But Trailblazers ended up having the result as follows, where the pink team ended up taking first. But again, the differential didn't end up being too crazy this time around. Teams were relatively close, and yeah, pink and green obviously being the ones that stood out a little bit. I think from an individual standpoint, you see Shane and Fine taking the top 2 position, purple coming in third. This is a very common trend among the placements throughout this event. But yep, this went about as expected. Pretty good, pretty impressive. Next up though, next up we have, let's see, it was Blitz Hunt, which Blitz Hunt game 6 feels like it's slightly different than usual. I feel like typically Blitz Hunt and Party are the final 2 games that you see in rotation, with Extraction sometimes being in. So I guess actually Blitz Hunt, Extraction, and Party did end up being the final 3 games again, which I agree would be nice to maybe switch up for a time, please, because it would be really cool. Regardless, Blitz Hunt, classic, really. It's a really solid game. It's a really good game that doesn't really need that much attention. It gets new rooms every now and then, and continuously it's proved to be one of the better games just in the event scene in general, because it is something that a lot of players can play. It's very accessible. Then secondary, it's a game that is very much more content oriented than it is like skill and try hard oriented, which I think is also very much appreciated from time to time rather. And I think it's good. I just like it. It's a very good game. There were some fun little moments, I think, in this one, but I don't recall there being any major clips, unless I missed them. Maybe I just, you know, should have watched a bit more Feinberg. I do think there was a moment where, actually, I just remembered, there was a clip on Twitter. I'll have to find it, but there was a clip from Twitter where I think it was Feinberg literally in this room hiding and succeeding. 1 second. Okay, I found it. So this is the actual clip of the amazing spot. It's right here in this military room. It's actually in round 4, not round 1, but here you go.
Oh god. Like, see, like, no, it was just chasing. Like, there's no way. And then look, someone's running behind the room. Like, there's just no way we get cleared here.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, we're dead.
No, there's just no way we get cleared here.
Oh my god.
I'm telling you, there's just no way we get cleared here.
Oh my god. That was... He walked over us.
Everyone in chat, round 1. Feinberg, you're in such a bad corner. Go in the car. Go up. Get such a bad... Fuck you.
Great clip. Great clip. I just had to show a clip. I don't really show clips usually in these, but fantastic clip, really. Anyways, so yeah, Blitz Hunt was peak, as per usual. There were some actual good clips. As per usual, typically it's Feinberg who's got the good clips, but there were some other ones as well. If you look at Feinberg videos, you'll see someone in car is here. You see, I saw like LeBron room or something. I don't know, man. There's enough to be looked at in this one, I guess. Either way, the results for Blitz Hunt showed as follows, which were actually really interesting. You had Evo winning, then Joe Bart, then Purple, Shane, Radoons, with Feinberg actually landing in 14th here, which didn't end up mattering. You'll see why. But yeah, no, this game is always surprising in terms of its results. Anybody really has a chance at doing well, and I think that's fun. Yes, is it the most competitive, or no, is it the most competitive thing? No, of course not. But we don't care. That's not what Blockwars is about. It's about content. It's fun. And this is peak. So anyways, moving along. We have the next game, which I think was actually the Barty. Yeah, it was Barty. Party, which saw the return of Crossfire, which was actually very peak as well. I need to find Ruben's clip because there was another insane moment during this one. But yeah, you see the people that ended up surviving here. Let me actually, 1 second again. All right, here's Ruben. Beautiful hair, by the way. Anyways, here, watch the clip.
What the fuck? Why is it so fast? I died.
What?
No, I'm dead.
Oh!
I was just in a bad spot. Bad RNG. Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh!
You guys not been
The game is back. No.
No! 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 Holy shit! Ah! This is so scary!
Dude, you
Oh my
got
god! Holy shit! Ah! No! Please! Fuck! I don't want to die! Oh! I did it!
Great job. Great job.
Oh my god!
Great job.
Holy shit!
That was beautiful. Anyways, so Crossfire is back, baby, and it's already peak. We've seen it time and time again. Hey, sometimes blockwars games just got it. They just got the sauce, and this is the one that's got the sauce. I will say, party wasn't completely perfect. There was definitely some parts that were whatever. Most specifically, Heist, I think, was still, like, as much as it was improved, Heist still had some issues with it, but it was at least better than last time, which is already a big improvement, right? It's important to have. Also, you see Boost for here taking some interesting gameplay here. 1 heart, yeah, it's nothing. Just just move. You're fine. But what's it called? Yeah, Heist. New map seemed to be enjoyed better than the bank one from the previous version. I think it's definitely got potential to become a game that's a bit more enjoyed. There's just some things that need to be improved. Most specifically, I think people take issue with 2 things. Directioning is a little bit difficult. You don't want to just give away where everything is, but you also don't want to make it not obvious enough where people struggle to find it. I know Feinberg was mentioned to have a hard time finding the staircase to the 3rd floor, which coincidentally I saw Booster just walk past in the clip somewhere over here. It literally, like, when this, by the way, if you look to your left, boom, staircase. But I understand this is a little bit tricky to find. Regardless, yeah, map directioning, and number 2, losing everything when you die is a little bit too punishing. So, in the future, that may be looked into. Regardless, the rest of the party was fine. I mean, beep test and what's it called? Beep test and Splat went just about as expected. There was a funny moment in Splat where Feinberg. I'm not going to show the clip. You can just look it up on the Feinberg channel. There was a funny moment in Beep Test where Feinberg said, "Oh my God, why is nobody on Extreme anymore? Everyone's such a coward or whatever, right?" And then he says, "It's so easy," and then he proceeds to fail 3 times in a row, which was quite nice. You love to see karma. It's beautiful. Regardless, if you look at party, the individual placements were as follows. Jumper actually locked in for Beep Test, being the only person to survive throughout the entire thing. And for the rest, went about as expected. I think the scores are a little bit lower here because a lot of people had some unfortunate moments during Heist, which does cut down your points quite a bit. And I think that was mostly it. Maybe Crossfire could have also kind of shook things up a little bit. But yeah, seemed to go decently well from a team standpoint. Red team actually ended up getting 2nd here. They were making a bit of a pushback at the end, though, with some of the early losses. I do think it ended up being a little bit too difficult to make a full comeback, which does lead us into Game 8, which was Extraction. At this current moment, if I remember correctly at least, I want to say the team leaderboards were 1st place Green, 2nd place Aqua, and 3rd place Pink. They were kind of the main 3 teams people were looking at to potentially go to finals. Green was mostly going to be secured, assuming that with May and Purple and Rattles and the rest of the team, they were going to lock in for Extraction, which they ended up doing. Extraction was a 7-for-7 sweep on Green's end, which was absolutely beautiful. Very good performance from the team. And then it came down to essentially Aqua or Pink. There were definitely other teams that were in the running if they were to have really pop-off rounds, but I think with Green being the standout team, every other team was going to have to at most get a 6 out of 7, and that is assuming if you were to want to beat Pink or Aqua going into the finals, those teams would have to go like 4 for 7 in terms of round wins, which is just kind of wishful thinking, I think, for the most part. However, throughout this, if you want to check out some of the insane gameplay throughout this game, I know his name gets brought up regarding blockwars a lot, but Feinberg had a generational Extraction this time around. Like he was in 2nd place, I think, going into this game. Purple being ahead, but I think by roughly 150 or 140 points, I think it was. And Fine was determined to potentially get 1st. And oh boy, did he deliver? Because this game he placed that much higher, scoring almost 600 points, which is absolutely impressive. Very impressive, of course. But actually, from a team placement standpoint, it ended up being pretty interesting. Green team obviously securing a 1st place. We kind of expected this going into the the game itself. But then pink team clutching up a second, blue team actually fighting for third over here, making a nice comeback at the end. I think they ended up placing fourth overall, which is very nice. Then the archers and the phantoms kind of roughly tying for the middle position, and then the drop off is starting to be noticeable when you go further down, which kind of did end up defining who ends up placing where overall, because if we look at all the games in the team leaderboard, you see that the gap here, like this gap here more so is not that crazy. Yes, of course red was behind, but that's all right. Getting second was definitely up for grabs. Of course, blue was already making a comeback, but like even between pink and aqua, it was actually really close. It was actually going to be up for grabs for sure. And for the rest, a lot of the teams really did make an effort to clutch up at the end, and I think they did really well. I think this was surprisingly balanced. Yes, the substitutes helped a lot. I think without the substitutes, these scores would have been, I do think the same three teams would have ended up in the bottom, because these were the three teams that mainly were or got substitutes. Purple ended up getting a last minute one with Siwat, but I don't think that ended up changing the placement too much. Yeah, that was the gameplay portion of the event overall. I mustn't forget, I almost forgot, actual finale time. I'm sure that if you watch this event, you would have seen it, but oh boy, was there an absolutely insane generational shot from May during this event. Let me quickly get the clip from the player server in the meantime, because it was absolutely beautiful. Let me quickly see over here. One sec. Boom and boom and boom. Here you go. Oh, okay. What is going on? Twitch is bugging. Why is there so many viewers on Carter Live? Why is OBS bugging? Hello? This is not the right time. This is not the right time. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, lock it.
It's like attack. They've historically not had a good attack. Oh my God! They landed the shots.
Oh, you got one.
landed one from the.
Oh my
No
God! She
way.
lands that.
Oh,
Wait. Oh my God! They actually win.
So what ended up happening there, right, is May shot from here all the way over. So you see it here. So from here all the way over the map to right there and landed a shot on Shane, which was crazy. And what that ended up being, or what that ended up doing, was it allowed for, you see this later here as well, it allowed for purple to line up a shot on Shane as well, which put pink in a pretty rough position at this current moment, because obviously one of their top frags was down, and the green team was able to make a push and ended up actually taking this final round. This was literally round 7, right, the tiebreaker, to win it all. And it was beautiful. It was really just beautiful overall. It was genuinely like such a crazy result at the end. But you see it here from Shane's POV. Green kind of just had pink in a chokehold on the site. I think they kind of understood that it was going to be over. But hey, Green took the dub, very much deserved. It's been a little bit, Purple's been on an arc of not winning events. He's won this one here very nicely. Clearly, you can see his chat is ecstatic about it. And also, it's something that is very important to note. Of course, commercial breaks kept popping up in the watch party. Between green and pink, green had 4 women on the team, pink had none. So it was kind of a classic showdown for the not officially labeled woman events, but for the event that was, focused to feature more women than on average at least. It was either the more women team winning or the only all dudes team winning, and thankfully the green team took the dub there. Though again, like mentioned, if pink took it, it would have been very much deserved. Regardless, that's the event review of blockwars. I think this is one of the best showings that we've had in a little bit. This is one of the strongest events overall in terms of, from a gameplay standpoint, what we delivered, and from a playing and performance and roster standpoint, what was brought together and how people work together here as well. A lot of the teams worked out super well. There was a lot of experimentation going on again, and I'm really happy about it. I think, of course, pink not winning meant that I get to live another day. Though, again, if pink won, the joke would have been over after a day or two, alright? So it doesn't really matter. Regardless, let me know what your favorite part of Block Wars 16 was. I definitely have to say that the I think the finals was sick, and I really liked Lunge because I was just really happy to see the improved perspective of that game. I think a lot of people were just more appreciative of it, and it was very nice. Also, let me quickly grab Reddit so we can look at some of the audience's responses. There's going to be some other stuff that is irrelevant for this current video. I'll talk about it later. But yeah, there were some fun moments. I know some people. Oh yeah, this is important to note. So some people were a little bit surprised at the winning tweet post. What it says in the post here is it says this event marks the last of our numbered events, but we still have some surprises left for you in store, so stay tuned. A lot of people, most specifically the people who have watched MCC over the past bit of time, saw this as us announcing that the numbered events would stop entirely, and we would essentially take the same path as MCC of changing our regular events from numbered to like special names or whatever. That is not happening. To put it quite bluntly, we would never announce such a major change like this. This would not be how we would do it. What this means, and it was also explained by GT, one of our event leads, that this just meant that Block Wars 16 is the last numbered event before we go on break, but there's still some surprises left before we officially go on said break, one of which has already been announced, which is the Spanish event, which I will be talking about at a later moment. And also something that is known to happen at some point is rookies. So surprises are at a maximum, really. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts of this event, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.